Okay, I'd like to start talking about volume, which is where we're headed next. You'll notice that, of course, a volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional object. But what is a three-dimensional object? And that's where I want to start talking now. So the first type of 3D shape I want to refer to is something called a prism. Okay, now prisms are objects that can be sliced into identical shapes. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the best way for you to see that is for an example. Here you'll see I have got a box. I drew it, it's not fantastic, don't judge me. But here's the thing, just imagine if I had a really, really sharp knife and I was really, really accurate with it, I could actually make a cut in this shape such that every shape that I cut has the same area on the end. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, let's just say I take a line and I cut along here. Whoops, that one went wonky. Let me try again. I take a line and I cut here. I would cut along the front here. I would cut all the way back to here. And then I would cut all the way along this edge here. Now that yellow shape that I drew has exactly the same length and it has the same width as my original shape. So this length on this, it is the same as that one. My width here, it is the same as this one. So basically all I've done is I've cut this shape in such a way that I have an identical shape appear. Okay, now I could do it again. I could cut this shape. Oh, well, I wouldn't use that knife. That wasn't very good. I could cut this shape from here and across here. And you will see that every time I make this cut, I am ending up with an identical shape, right? My width and my length are identical shapes in each time. So what that means is that if I have a shape that does that, I can call it a prism. I'm going to reveal a whole bunch of shapes all at once, simply because I don't know how I'd draw some of these and I didn't want to. So here I have a whole bunch of shapes. And you'll see I've got a section that has got triangular prisms. These ones are all triangular prisms there. I've got a cylinder and a cone and a sphere. I've got two rectangular prisms. I've got a pentagonal prism. I've got three pyramids. I've got a square-based pyramid just here, and I've got a triangle-based pyramid, and I have a pentagonal-based pyramid, and I also have my sphere over here. Okay, so all these different 3D shapes. Which of them are actually prisms? Which ones can you make a slice that is repeated, an identical shape every time? Okay, so let's think about each of these as we go, and we're going to give them a big red tick if they're good enough. So, triangular prism. Can you cut that so that you get the same shape? Well, yes, you can. If you cut this along this shape right here, every time you'll get the same. So, triangular prisms, this one here, I can cut along that spot there. It's good. This one, I can cut along this shape here, and it will work. Okay, that is a prism. All right. Now, the other thing I should have said about prisms, because this next shape is going to trick us up, I think, is that it has to have straight lines only. Okay? So, it has to have straight edges. All right, so let's leave the cylinder. We'll talk about that one last of all. Let's go back to our other prisms. Well, let's look at the pentagonal prism. Do we have a shape or a face that we can cut across as a cross section and get this identical shape every time? Well, yes, we do. Here it is, just here. There's the face, and I could make that cut over and over and over. That one's good. A rectangular prism? Yeah, sure. I could do this face. I could even do this face up here on this one. Whatever face I choose on rectangular prisms, I can copy that. They're actually the best for copying faces, making faces that are repeating shapes. And apart from that, apart from that cylinder, which we'll get back to, none of the others are referred to as prisms. And in fact, you can see it in the name. We have our triangular prism and our rectangular prism and our pentagonal prism. You can have hexagonal prisms, and you can any face that has straight lines only. Okay, so let's talk about these other shapes then. These other ones that are not prisms. They cannot be sliced into identical shapes. So what shapes up here are the ones that cannot be sliced? So all of our pyramids cannot be sliced into a regular identical shape. Our sphere cannot be sliced into a regular shape. Same as our cone, okay? And that leaves us with one little shape that we have not talked about, and that is a cylinder. Now, a cylinder is similar to a prism in that, yes, there actually is a shape that we can cut every time. It's this shape right on the top, this circle here. But because it's got curved lines, not straight lines, and here you go, look, this is where the cut would be through here, right? That face all the way down. What we call a cylinder, or any shape that has curved lines, that is able to have a uniform, identical shape cut in it, they don't have a name. We don't call them prisms. They're not prisms, even though they have a uniform shape in them, okay? We can find out the volume of those. We can find the volume of all of these if we know the rules, but they're not referred to as prisms. That's the important point I was trying to get to.